You already know what time it is, Trial Mob. Another news update. We finally got some confirmation on some actual scaling and a bunch of new IPs that are launching some pretty cool stuff. Big shout out to Patrick and the community for keeping up with this kind of stuff so that we can have content to cover. But make sure you stay tuned and you subscribe because we got more coming your guys' way. All right, Trial Mob. So to start off, we are going with a new company called Robot Build, and they've got obviously some badass looking robots, man. So these are a few of the upcoming prototypes. Here they are unpainted. I can't tell you about the articulation, but when it comes to robots, it's very easy to make these guys highly articulated, highly mobile. These look really badass. They remind me of like a kaiju style mech, which is not at all a bad thing. And then on top of that, we do have some who are the aesthetic I'm getting here is super heavy mechs, and I'm totally down with that. These look phenomenal looking. I cannot wait to see what they're going to be painted like, because this definitely looks a bit exotic in my humble opinion. Now these here were also a part of the same exhibit, and what's interesting about it is obviously the different coloring that we see here, but also the overall aesthetic of these guys seem to be a bit on the smaller side. So I don't know if the first ones we saw were like super sized, or maybe their largest size figure, and these ones are supposed to be a bit smaller, but I do like the overall aesthetic of these as well. And again, the paint color, I'm wondering if they're going to come just solidly painted like this, or maybe this color coding is supposed to mean something else. If anybody knows, let me know. On top of that, here we have a few of the figures, and I want to say that this is not any of the two that we saw before, but still part of the same stuff, right? Robot Build. And here is the figure fully painted. As you can tell, some of these parts seem to be see-through, which actually give it a really cool look overall. I like this pink aesthetic with the white, and makes it look very regal to me. And it's something that I would consider purchasing, but on this next slide right here, let me go ahead and show you. They're completely broken down, so I'm a little confused if this is supposed to be like a model kit. I imagine that maybe it is, considering the name Robot Build. So this could be a model kit. I'm a bit more turned off by model kits personally, because I feel like they're never super strongly put together. But if they are put together nicely, if they do have strong joints and everything, it still might be something I'd consider. But again, if it's something that you guys are into, you guys are definitely going to like this style. Now on top of that, here we have another one. Here we actually get a name, Proteus. Again, this looks pretty badass. This is, I want to say, I get a little bit of an Evangelion vibe here, but I think really that's more because of the coloring, because they look nothing like this. So I really do appreciate that we're getting something that's a fairly bit unique. And again, I think I prefer this color design maybe more than that white and pink one, but really it's a toss-up. They're both unique, and they both seem to come with their own armor set, which is nice. But then, come on, guys. So the blue and white one on the left looks pretty dope overall. I do like the overall kit. But this one on the right, this samurai looking one that looks from the Sucker Punch movie, wow, this looks pretty dope. I would love to see this one in action, and I'd also like to see what these are like in terms of sizing, because I'm hoping they're not too small. But then, as you can tell from some of the other ones that they have here, like on the right, we see this Akira one. Again, this seems to be another color variation of the samurai one we saw in the last one. In the last pick. And then, as you can tell, it's got two more of these robots next to him, and they're even smaller. So there seems to be a lot of variety in scale here, which is obviously nice. It definitely will feel like you're buying something different every single time. And I wonder if there's going to be any lore here, or these are just kind of all one-offs. Have you guys ever seen this before? Is this from a show? Maybe I wasn't aware of it. But as far as I can tell, these are all one-off pieces. Now, jumping over to the fresh retro side, we do have a Glaucus infiltrator right here, and as you can tell, we're getting a more or less height adjustment here for the fresh retro stuff. As you can tell, he fits nicely in between this level. So now let's go ahead and check out what the other guys look like. Now here you can see one of the robots, and as you can tell, it's basically the same height, maybe the slightest bit taller than the Glaucus infiltrator. So as you can tell, the fresh retro stuff on the smaller end of the scale is going to scale perfectly with all the regular, Joy Toy and Acid Rain stuff. So that's actually really nice. I wonder if they'll be able to hold the guns, because these look like fairly large guns in comparison. And then as we switch over to the next one, as you can tell, this guy is one of their bigger ones, and as you can tell, even he still fits in that same level. So this guy's going to be a bit taller, but he'll still be within range of the 1/18 scale. Now, maybe I am tripping here, but that guy on the bottom left corner looks more golden than yellow. So could there be another faction that's gold instead of yellow? And then above that, we finally see our, I want to say this is the first time we're seeing a red variant. So again, we're seeing two other colors here. And of course, the turquoise bluish color that we've already seen before, looking pretty badass. But it's really cool that we're seeing a full fleshing out of different colors. Like they're basically the damn Power Rangers. Now, I had already recorded everything when this photo popped up, so I just decided to prop it in right here. And guys, here's a legit size comparison of some of the fresh retro stuff with an acid rain figure right next to it. Now, that is the Shadow of Asimite, but as you guys know, it is a Kelsey body replica, literally down to the, basically everything for exception of the ponytail. So we already know about how tall that is, and that does run about 3.75 inches, almost exact. Maybe just a little bit taller to be honest, but as you can tell right next to it, that fresh retro is pretty close right behind it. And as you can tell, it's pretty fucking big. That is a big boy, and I really appreciate the sizing here because as you can tell, some of the smaller stuff is going to be basically right in line with Acid Rain stuff, and their bigger robots are going to be obviously taller. And it's hard to tell whether the blue one right next to this purple one is just further back and out of the photo, or maybe he just stands taller, but this is a confirmation of the fresh retro sizing, and I am sold. Switching over to Pocket Universe, we do get a few prototype photos of some upcoming stuff. These ones right here obviously are prototypes with not a lot of articulation, right? So these are probably going to be fleshed out later. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of this overall look. I think it is decent. I think some of the robots look very retro, very steampunk-esque. So this might be really cool, but judging by some of the articulation that we already see right there, it's a very old school style articulation that even if we do end up getting, like, let's say knee articulation or other things like that, the regular humans are going to be a lot more basic, kind of like some of that old school Super 7 stuff that we've been getting. That's not my cup of tea, but if it's yours, then you're probably going to love this. These do look pretty cool, and I would like to see, you know, painted and fully articulated versions of these. So we'll see what we get in the future. All right, and to round it all up, we got a custom photo from Tom Villain. This is something that he put together, and it looks basically like a, I don't know, what would you call this? A War Machine mixed with Punisher. And I know we've gotten something like that before, but I gotta admit, this does look pretty dope. If there's any brand that's trying to get new ideas for a new IP, something revolved around a figure like this would be pretty badass. I'm just saying, what do you guys think?